Well, here I am again. Right now I'm working on a bridge blank. I have marked it up, pencil lines, and it's really hard to show that on the camera. But I do have it lined up, pencil lines. I've drawn out to my plans here what I want to do with it. And I'm going to begin making some cuts. I have marked 2 of the lines here with a sharp edge and made divots so that I can cut the wings here. So I'm going to start with that portion. And let's see, can I even bring this down and over a little closer maybe? Let's see. Get as close as I can here, huh? Yeah, we're going to go right there. Try not to knock that off the bench. I am not worried about marking up the sides of this with my clamp. I am worried about making a good cut. It doesn't really matter for the saw. I'll clean up the edges later, but I want to be right on my line. And I'm not going all the way through. I'm going down to my line I marked on the side. Hold your saw level. Go down almost to your line and stop. You can see right there. If I look on that side, I am right almost down to my line on this end. And on this side, I've got a little bit more room. So flip that around and do the same operation. Almost there. Okay. All right, so that part is ready. Now, I'm going to slip this back in my clamp. My line goes all the way around the front. I'm not taking the whole amount off. I'm going to take about half of it off. So you can divide this. If my line is here, it's at about 4 millimeters, so I can take this off in 2 or 3 chunks. So I'm going to just set that on there, and it depends on what your grain is doing. So that's why we do this. So my grain is actually moving a little bit in. So if I pick that up with my finger, if it allows me, my grain is actually moving a little bit this direction. So I need to make sure that when I take my amount off here that I go and I take it just in that area and I don't go too far like this. I'm going to go back on my line, same one I just took. Okay. And if I pull that out of here, I'm getting way too close on this side to be able to do this bridge blank. So that tells me my grain is moving this way. The other side will be a piece of cake. This side I will have to come in sideways. So I will put this back in the vise this way, this direction. And I'm going to take off just a little bit at a time. I'm going to just remove just the wing here. Be very careful. So what I can do is once I've got a little bit of this taken off the top, I can come back in and I can find my line. Removing some of that top removes some of the pressure from the rest of it. Coming in sideways allows me to negate some of that grain direction and still make an acceptable piece. Now I can come in, I can kind of go this direction. And take the bigger chunk off. Now as long as I go this way, my grain direction is actually coming up, and I'll be able to remove more of that end. And some of it's already up a little bit, I just need to get the chisel under it. And bring that down to my line. Once I've got it to my line, I can start rounding it off. Well, let's get the other side started here. Like I said, my grain direction looks like it's kind of at an angle. So if I take this halfway, should be good. See? And we're beginning to rough out our bridge blank. Once I've got this side adjusted a little bit, I'll take a little bit more off the end right here. I'll lay it on the bench and work on that. I will be able to take a rasp and then go ahead and do those sides. I'm going to take off a little bit more, and then I'm going to work on these lines right here. So the first, while I'm off camera, I'm going to take off these. I'm going to clean them up just a little bit, and then I'll turn the camera back on to finish that. All right, so I'm back. I have successfully taken those down. They are rough. They are still rough, but they are at a place where I can now work with doing this channel and not fear taking up big chunks on each side. Again, I'm going to put this back in my vise. What I'm going to be doing is I'm working on this side. I'm going to be making the channel for my nut or my saddle to sit in. And so I have a piece of bone blank here, and it is right about 1/8 of an inch, pretty close to 1/8 of an inch. So I have an 1/8 inch chisel. Again, fits right into my calipers there. What I will do is, since I just have this line marked with pencil, I'm going to take my blank here and I'm going to scribe one side with a sharp edge, whatever I did with it. There it is. Lost it. Okay. All right, I'm going to scribe one side. Fingers out of the way. This is about 4 to 5 millimeters from the edge. Following my pencil line, but I want my straight end from my blank. Now I'm going to set my blank right on that line. I'm going to make another line on the other side of it. Very carefully, not to cut myself. All right, looks like I've wandered a little bit, but the one side is the most important part. So I'm going to set that away for now. And I'm going to come in with my chisel, and I'm going to very carefully, so I know my grain's coming this way, so I'm going to be going against my grain this way. I want to go with my grain against it. Let's go this way. I had it in there right the first time. And I'm going to line up against my front edge, just very carefully. I'm going to take a little bit at a time, right up next to my line. You're just making a good straight groove. We're not deep enough yet to really worry about the bottom. Get to that in a little while. But since my saddle is the same width as my chisel, I can come along and make my saddle area here with the chisel. You can do this with a router if you've got a router, pin router if you've got it. I suppose you could do it with a Dremel tool if you set it up right. If your chisel can fit in it sideways like that, you'll probably have it straight. And you just continue to work a little bit at a time, bringing it down all the way across. A little tight right here on the end. We continue along in the same manner until we get it all the way down, the same height on both sides with our roughed out area here. We'll have to go a little farther at the end, but I'm going to continue that off camera. When I've got that, I'll bring it back to show you how we get the bottom nice and flat.